The first move that I make whenever I'm working with a brand new client, whenever I'm trying to grow someone from 6 to 7 figures or 7 to 8, funny enough, it's the exact same move. I created this theory, I call it the market treasure map. And I just wrote about it in the book that I'm writing right now. It's a concept that I use over and over to figure out the growth and marketing potential that a company is sitting on that they may not know about. And part of the reason I started coming up with this is because a lot of companies don't know what their next marketing move should also be. So I'm going to share with you kind of how to use this and how to think about it, because it actually is the exact opposite of what college taught me. When I was in college, I was taught that competition is bad. I was taught that anytime you see another business competing with you, it's a signal that
the market is saturated and you got to go create your own, be totally unique all the way through, and it's totally a lie.
Here's how I like to think about it. Do you guys like fishing? Let me know if you like fishing. I don't like lake or stream or river fishing. I don't know. It's okay. About 3 or 4 years ago, I went Alaskan salmon, like big fishing for the first time. Like deep sea fishing for salmon in Alaska. Holy cow, it's like a full body sport. It's so crazy. You know, Marley and I are entrepreneurs. For the first 3 years, she's gone 3 or 4 times. I've gone 3 or 4 times. And, you know, when we go, there's this little island that we stay on. It's a little bougie. It's super fun, though. My gosh, it's so fun. So there's a staff there, and there's like 40 other rooms on this little island. And the staff there, they cook and clean for you. They clean the fish and like flash freeze it and prepare it for the ship back home. It's a crazy cool experience. A lot of times, we've had calls and meetings in the morning. So while everybody else is getting up early in the morning, and they're out on the little skiffs and little boats and fishing for salmon, like super early, like 4 or 5 in the morning. Marley and I, each year, we kind of sleep in a little bit. We kind of catch breakfast at the tail end of it. We take our calls and our meetings and stuff like that. We're just like, it's vacation mixed with fishing kind of a thing, you know, but we also have a few calls just to keep things moving. And you know, if we got to jump on with anybody, we do and whatever. And then what we've learned, so you got to imagine there's these 2 islands that kind of sit side by side, and we're staying on one for the week. What we've learned 3 years in a row is that when we get on our little tiny skiff, our little tiny boat, and we go around to the back of the island and we just troll in this figure 8, 15 minutes goes by, no bites. 20 minutes goes by, no bites. 30 minutes, all the bites, tons of fish, all the bites. I'm reeling in and I net it. I bonk it on the head. Marley bleeds it while I'm putting new bait on the hook. We get the hook back out there as fast as possible. We get another bite really fast. It's crazy. And then nothing. And it's all quiet. It's actually my favorite way to describe how markets move. I call this the red ocean treasure map. And the treasure map literally is a map for companies to figure out where the fish are, if you will. Okay. And this is such a powerful concept that, well, back to the fishing thing, often we won't even put bait on the hooks. I don't know if the fish are literally running into the hook with their face or something, but it's like we've learned that the same school of fish year after year, they go in this massive pattern. They'll kind of like go out to the ocean a little bit, and then they kind of circle back around, and then right underneath us, bam, 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 bam. So we've learned that if we just stay in that same spot, we'll literally catch the limit of our fish in like 2 hours. It's funny because people would come back into lunch and they're exhausted. They've been up for a long time. They've been out on the rocky ocean, and you know, everyone's like comparing numbers, how many fish they caught and stuff like that. It's super fun. We go through a fun group of entrepreneurs and friends, and just love it. But it's funny because we'll be catching just as many as everyone else because we just go to the same spot every single time. Keep this in mind. This is not a fishing story. This is an analogy on how you fish markets, because it's actually the exact same principles. One year we hired this guy we chartered a bigger boat and a professional fisherman. And this guy did not have a very friendly personality, but he knew what he was doing. And it's funny, we get on this boat and we travel out to this spot, like 30 minutes. We're all hanging out on the back of the deck, just chatting and getting to know each other and all that stuff. And all of a sudden the captain stops and he's looking at GPS coordinates. And to me, we're just like out in the ocean. And he's like, get ready to drop your hooks. Not yet, not yet. And we're going slow, not yet. Now! And he's like, drop the hooks. And I guess we were all like half a second late, and he yelled at us. He's like, I told you all to drop. Now we're late. We're not going to get him. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's the ocean. They're down there, right? And little did I understand and know, that's not how it works, right? Just because they're in the ocean doesn't mean they're going to see my hook. So what he did is he came back around. And he's like, this time when I say drop the hooks, you drop the hooks. He was not a friendly dude. But we caught like 150 pounds of meat that day. It was crazy. And again, he's like, now! And so we all like throw it down real quick, throw down our hooks and our lines as fast as possible. And we're counting. There's exact instructions from this dude. And we're pulling up massive halibut, and we're pulling up the ugliest sea bass you've seen in your life, and all a crazy fish. Meanwhile, he's on the radio with other of his buddies going, "That's where they are now? Okay, they're in that spot. Reels up, reels up." And he's yelling at the small group of us that, we all chartered this boat together. "Get your reels up out of the water." And like half of us is still reeling while he just throttles hard, gets over to the next spot, and the same thing. He's looking at these coordinates on a GPS, like down to the number. "Drop the hook, drop, I said drop." And we're like, "What is this, dude? This is crazy." But he wasn't wrong. If we hadn't dropped in like 5 seconds, he was pissed. He'd come back around and he would do it again. And we did this the whole day and just caught king salmon. And we caught massive amounts of meat. We caught as much meat that day and fish that day as we do the whole week. It doubled our take home, if you will. And it's my favorite way to describe markets. We often talk about markets as oceans, right? You've probably heard the thing red ocean, blue ocean. You probably heard that. It's actually the same analogy. When we think about how our marketing works out in the open market, a lot of us just look at it like the ocean. We're like, well, I dropped the hook and nobody bought. Nobody even sniffed the hook. Therefore, it's all wrong. And we'll go back and start making changes to the funnel, start making changes to our offer. And we start second guessing crap and we're tweaking things that probably weren't the problem in the first place. We just haven't figured out that spot. We haven't figured out the treasure map of the market, literally. And just sometimes it takes a little patience. Sometimes we got to find that spot where we can just continue to troll year after year, literally in a figure eight or whatever, and we just know that a big school of fish or customers, if you will, is going to come run into our hook. And so what I've learned how to do, and this experience year after year has really influenced how I position myself in the market. Identifying a big, gigantic, big, fat red ocean is by far my favorite way to fish for customers. I hate blue ocean strategy because there's no fish there. By definition, you don't know if there's fish there. Just like that dude who's like, "Drop now." A lot of times we look at these markets that we go out and we fish from and we're like, well, the fish are in there and I dropped the hook and nobody's bought. It's like, okay, but your tackle could be wrong. Your bait could be wrong. You could be trolling at the wrong speed. You don't actually know how they're moving underneath inside the water. So think of the schools of fish in the ocean and how they move, and they absolutely move. They're not always in the same spot. Think of that like trends. Think of that like hot topics in your marketplace. Think of that like whatever the big controversial things are that are going inside your market. And you got to get good at learning how to kind of align with that type of noise in your marketplace. So I hate red ocean, blue ocean, because it means you have to build the market. You don't know where the channels of fish are. Isn't it funny? There's so many fishing analogies in marketing already. Do you have a hook? What marketing channel are you dropping it into? Sometimes we'll call it a lead magnet, or we'll call it lead bait even. It's helpful to think of it like that. That when we're going out and we're doing our marketing, it's not enough to just write a good hook. It's not enough to have a good offer or a good funnel or whatever. We also have to be good at learning how to read the market, if you will, to see where the market is moving. Markets are not stagnant, and neither are customers. They don't just sit in the ocean. They're looking at that person's product, and they're looking at competitor A and competitor B, and they're sniffing the hook and the bait that you've got. And right, they're checking stuff out. They got options. They move. And so what this concept has allowed me to do is start to read the map. And there's two major things that I do when I am learning to read the market treasure map. It's one of the ways that helps me feel confident in even doing a project. So this is a practice, and it's a set of steps that I walk through. It's my own list of steps before I'll even go build a funnel, or before I choose to go build an offer or write a sales message, or even begin the project as a whole. This is kind of part of the market research phase, and it's very different than the market research that I was taught to do in my actual marketing degree. In my marketing degree, we were taught to do the style of market research that was like, tell me about the demographics, how big is the addressable market size? And you're learning to read things that, I'm not saying they're not helpful, but we don't really dive into that stuff when we talk about direct response marketing. What we're looking at is, I go a little bit deeper. I want to understand the psychographics of my dream customer. Literally, there's two different worlds in marketing and advertising. I'm not making these up. David Ogilvy talked about these in the, in the mid 1900s. Okay, these are two warring worlds and very different methodologies on marketing. One style of marketing has budgets. Okay, that's general marketing. That's general advertising. This is my favorite way to describe it. You go into a sports stadium and you sit down at your seat, and I don't know, like I was at a basketball game once with my dad, and floating around the stadium was this LED wall and it said Wells Fargo and Chase, all these massive brands. Well, ask yourself, how do those companies know that their marketing dollars and what they paid that stadium to put up their logo, how do they track that it actually grows their company? They don't. That's one of the best ways to know what is literally known as, and what I was taught in my marketing degree, that's general marketing. That's called general advertising. It's blanket. It's wishful thinking. You don't really know. You just kind of deploy a budget, and if you made more sales, you're like, sweet.
I hate that kind of marketing. It's stupid. It doesn't track anything.
In fact, Claude Hopkins in the late 1800s, he's kind of known as the father of direct response. He was like the first dude to track his ads. There's no internet. And what he would do is he would put out several different, slightly different versions of the same sales letter. And when a customer would write in to get the product, they were asked to also provide like the unique code that was on that sales letter. All right, think about like a literal sales letter. Think about all the advantages we have today with all our distribution. Holy crap. No one has to write a letter and put some postage on it to ask questions to your support channel. Like, how crazy do we have it today? You started noticing, oh my gosh, the people that are writing in, they're writing in because they liked sales letter version B. I better just get rid of all the losers and just go bolt down on version 2 of my sales letter. And it's so funny because back in that day, people were like,
Claude Hopkins, you're a freaking genius.
and he was like, I'm just tracking what works and doing more of it. And it's funny I say that now, and today we're like, well, why wouldn't you do that? But they didn't do that back then. He's coined and credited as being the first guy to go do that stuff. So that's what I'm talking about, is general advertising versus direct response advertising and marketing. Very, very different worlds. So when I started looking at the treasure map of a red ocean market, I'm like, where's the treasure buried? I'm choosing a big fat red ocean because there's already fish in it. I don't want to be red ocean, blue ocean. I want to be red ocean, blue offer. I want to stay inside the red and just learn to be unique because that's where the fish already are. I don't have to go through the burden of building a market just because I built an offer. I'm literally writing a book on this because nobody else talks about this, and I hate blue ocean strategy. It's a good strategy. It's not the only one though, all right? And a lot of people just think it's the only one. So I'm not going to go build a market just because I created an innovative offer. That's like building a mall just because I came up with something new. If I can't convert the foot traffic at the existing mall, why on earth would I go build a mall just because I came up with something? Does that make sense? But that's what I'm starting to look at. What can the treasure map tell me about the current trends happening inside that red ocean? Who is creating my future customers for me already? Who has been tracking that I could go learn from? And one of the benefits of all of the social media platforms we have today is it's really easy to go learn that stuff. I can literally on Facebook look at the Facebook ads manager, like the Facebook library of my competitors. It's public. Legally, it has to be. I can go see, oh my gosh, these guys have been running ads for years and they're one of the biggest names in the market. I would be a fool to not learn from what they're doing. You know, it's funny, as back to the Alaska thing, over the years of Marley and I doing that, other boats have followed us to this spot because they're like, how are you catching so many fish so fast? And we're like, well, we know the spot over here, and they'll follow us now. It's the same thing. Who inside of your red ocean, who is the competition that has learned how to fish from that ocean? Learned how to fish from that marketplace. And by doing that, you cut out a lot of the mystery of how to go catch the fish, how to get sales. I'm not just funnel hacking. This is different than that. I'm still learning and I'm still doing funnel hacking, and I'm looking at the pages and I'm looking at all that stuff for sure. But this is a deeper look at the trends inside of a marketplace, not just the funnels inside of it, and learning how these fish are actually moving. Because if you don't have this stapled to your face, you might want to do that. If any of you actually staple this to your face, don't tell me. I don't want to. Okay, but maybe put it on your wall or something like that. You don't have to be that new in marketing. You have to be unique. You have to stand out. Marketing is about being different, not new. So I'd rather be new and unique and things that no one's ever seen before with my product and my offer. But I'm not going to go do that with my marketing. Why would I go invent new marketing methods? People try to be too blue. They're like, you got to come up with a product and an offer that no one's ever seen before. Okay, yeah, true. You got to come up with a way to market that no one's ever seen before. Not true. You got to come up with a brand new market. No. It's like people often are so blue across the board that they're not even followable. They more and more are gambling because they're not following the treasure map that their competitors in the red ocean have already laid out. Even when we were out with that guy who's with that salty seaman, He's not very nice, but he knew his crap. He was on the radio with other boats. And guess what? He didn't make any money from those other boats, but they're just learning from each other, right? It's the same thing. I'm going out and I'm learning what is already happening in that marketplace and where people are already buying and how they're buying. So, for example, classic example, if I go out and I start telling somebody, hey, we found the red ocean that we believe your customers are at and swimming around in. We've found some of the trends that are inside of there. And we've also learned that the customers in that market like to buy and like to be sold with a webinar. It's so funny how often the business owner will tell me,
well, I don't really want to do webinars.
I'm like, well, I hear you, but you don't fill your own wallet. At some point, your opinion does not matter. You're not the one filling your own wallet. You could go out and you could invent on a new method and way to sell these fish. But there's a lot of boats out there on the water right now that have learned that this is the best way to set up your tackle and your line and this kind of bait and this kind of flasher and this kind of, does that make sense? This kind of lure and all that stuff. So I'm not saying you can't go catch salmon if you come up with a new method, but do you really want to gamble on how you're going to sell your product? Or would you rather just look at how others are doing it and use what they're doing as at least a starting place? You may not love webinars, you may not love doing it, but guess who likes buying like that? The customer, because you got all these other competitors that are selling with webinars or whatever. It could be something else. A lot of software companies that I've gone and consulted for, they'll be like, I don't know if I want to put out a white paper. And I'm like, well, all the other big companies in your industry right now, they're using white papers. So
who's the idiot?
you know what I'm saying? It's like, at some point you have to ask yourself, fish with the lure and the tackle that the people in that market like to be sold with and market with. You know, I used to be like really aggressive on the internet. If you don't know, there's several YouTube videos, I'm sure, on this channel, even where I yell and scream a lot. I'm sorry about that. But I remember there's this guy who kept coming on my coaching calls. He kept fighting me on this. He's like, I don't remember if it was webinars or what. I didn't call it a market treasure map then, but I do now. Because it's key points, it's key things. I'm really excited to put a book out about this, but he's like, how come all these other people are making all this money and I'm not? And then he started getting on the calls saying,
the opportunity's passed up. I can't go make any money from this.
And I said, hold up. Your competitors are making money right now, right? He goes, yeah. And there's like a lot of fish in the sea. There's a lot of customers out there who are still opening their wallet for this kind of thing, right? And he goes, yeah, but I think it's just past. And I said, dude, get real. Like, grow up, show up, understand that if all these other people are having success in the market and you're not, at what point can we just be honest about the fact that you are the variable here? Be innovative and creative with your offer. Be innovative and creative with all these other things, but the market is voting. It is telling you how it likes to be sold. And the fact that you're unwilling to go produce and sell this way, like, it's no wonder these fish don't want to bite on your hook, if you will. It's just a key thing to understand when you're going out and you're creating these offers and these different things, to recognize that, yeah, the customer is not always right. I hate that phrase. The customer's always right. That's stupid advice. The customer is not always right, but guess what is? The market. And those are two different things. And if the market is moving and shifting in this way, you're kind of an idiot to not align with it. You could go be innovative and invent some brand new methods of selling. You could go invent some brand new methods of marketing, and all the more power to you. Or if you're going to do that, I strongly suggest that at least what you start with is the treasure map left behind by the other successful companies in your marketplace that are your competitors. All they did is prove how the people there like to purchase. At least start with the method that they've already proven out, and then later branch out and be innovative with your marketing. All right, you got your own unique hook, sure. You got your own unique offer, sure. You got your own unique funnel, sure. But stick with the funnel type that all of them like to buy from. Stick with the method that all of them are liking to actually, and interact with, It's a shortcut, following the market treasure map. There's other parts and things that we go to with it, but that's the mentality that we have behind it. Don't be so innovative that out of the notion of being a unique snowflake butterfly, I'm so unique and different, and I'm controlled and trapped by my innovative genius. It's like, sometimes that's what's keeping you from making money. Use that innovative genius power on the product. Use it on the way you deliver and create a cool customer experience. But at least start with what people are already liking to be marketed with and under. Does that make sense? So if your market loves buying through webinars, start with that. Learn from and attend the webinars of the companies that you would consider your competitors. If people in your market like to buy from challenges, swallow the pride, go opt into, buy everything inside that person's funnel, see how they're doing it, and then check out how they're getting their traffic. Don't just model the funnel, model the traffic source. But learn from it. Learn from all the different ways that these people are out there making all this money. Swallow the pride until you're making the money also. Try to match the standard that other company has set. Use it as a standard. And then now that you have cash flow coming in, now you have the breathing room. I'm going to remain 80% of the current marketing strategies the competitors have proven out, and the big category kings and the largest brands and names in my marketplace have already kind of proved. But now I'm going to go start adding 20% new marketing. Let's see if we can start to be strategically unique with the way we sell people, and all the power to you. And what's funny is that as I've done that, sometimes my stuff will start to die. And it's like, nope, these fish clearly like to buy in this way. I found that by doing this, we just remove a lot of risk, and you remove a lot of the ambiguity that tends to come with marketing. Because until then, especially if you come from the sales funnel world or the internet marketing world, the hot new thing comes out and people just start getting flustered about it. Everyone's talking about challenges. Should I be doing challenges too? And I'm like, well, do the fish in the current ocean that you're fishing in actually like to buy from challenges? I'm not saying don't do it, but if you're not doing the standard market treasure map that all these other companies are doing, start with that. Reduce the risk. I'll expose myself, risk-wise with my offer, but I'm going to remove all the risk possible when it comes to marketing. Anyway, if that was helpful to you, please let me know. If you have any other questions about that, also please let me know. I'm having so much fun. I check the comments on this channel maybe more than I should. It's been fun to kind of get to know each one of you as well here. So let me know down below. And then also, I think it'd be fun because it could be cool if we all start kind of saying, hey, I've learned that this method right here is how the fish in my red ocean like to buy and like to be pitched to. This is how the customers in my red ocean market like to consume sales and marketing material. And I think it'd be kind of cool because we can start to see what all those trends are across different industries. So let me know down below. Appreciate it. If you haven't, go ahead and like, subscribe. Let me know if you guys are liking this kind of material. Sometimes I'll do these ones where I'm just driving around in the car. I drive a lot right now because my kids go to a gazillion different schools. So I figure I might as well do some episodes while I'm in the car here. So you've attended an episode of Talking with Steve in the car while I drive. All right, guys, I'll see you guys later. Bye.